She doesn't stop loving you when you give more. She stops respecting you. Think about that for a second. You've done everything right. You show up early. You remember the little things. You listen even when you're exhausted. You rearrange your schedule, mute your needs, and swallow your pride. All to prove you're the good guy. And yet, somehow, you end up feeling like background noise. Like an afterthought, like someone she texts only when it's convenient, or when she's lonely. Here's the brutal truth no one wants to say out loud. Kindness without boundaries isn't strength, it's self-erasure. And in the quiet erosion of your presence, she stops seeing you as essential and starts treating you as optional. But what if I told you there's one invisible behavior, so subtle, so automatic, that silently drains your value every single time you do it? Not yelling, not ghosting, not playing games. Something far more common and far more damaging. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on that hidden habit and replacing it with 8 ancient Stoic principles that don't just restore your dignity. They make her feel your absence like gravity. This isn't about manipulation. It's about reclamation, about becoming the kind of man whose silence speaks louder than pleading ever could. If you've ever felt invisible in a relationship where you gave everything, stay with me. This might be the turning point you've been waiting for. And hey, if this hits home, hit subscribe. Because what comes next isn't just advice. It's a reset button for how you show up in love, life, and power. Now, let's begin. 1. Stop over-explaining yourself. Certainty is magnetic. Let's get brutally honest for a second. Have you ever caught yourself sending 3 texts just to clarify why you couldn't make it to dinner? Or rehearsing a 5-minute speech in your head before telling her you need space? Or worse, apologizing for something that wasn't even your fault just to keep the peace? If so, you're not alone. But here's what you might not realize. Every time you over-explain, you're whispering to her subconscious, I'm not sure I belong here. And women, consciously or not, sense that. Not because they're judging you harshly, but because human psychology is wired to trust certainty. Think about it. When someone speaks with calm clarity, without hedging or backtracking, you lean in. You listen. You assume they know what they're doing. But when someone stumbles through justifications, qualifiers, and endless context, you start tuning out. Not out of cruelty, but because uncertainty feels unstable. And instability doesn't inspire respect, it invites dismissal. Now, let's bring in the Stoics. Not as dusty philosophers, but as elite emotional strategists. Seneca once wrote, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." And that's exactly what over-explaining is. Suffering in advance. You're trying to control her reaction before she's even had one. You're negotiating your worth before she's questioned it. But a grounded man doesn't negotiate his presence. He states it. Imagine this. Instead of saying, I know I've been distant lately, and I'm really sorry. It's just work has been insane, and I didn't mean to ignore you, I swear. You simply say, I needed some space to recharge. I'm back now. No justification, no groveling, just truth, delivered calmly. That shift does something profound. It tells her and yourself that your actions don't require her stamp of approval to be valid. And paradoxically, that's when she starts valuing your words more. Because now, every sentence carries weight. Every choice feels intentional. You're no longer background static. You're the signal. This isn't about being cold or withholding. It's about trusting yourself enough to stand in your truth without scaffolding. So ask yourself, what are you explaining today that you could simply embody tomorrow. Your actions don't require an apology, and your truth doesn't need a script. Stop negotiating your worth. If you are done groveling for approval and are ready to speak with calm, absolute certainty from this day forward, comment signal over static right now. Let the community know you are holding the line. 2. Stop being available 24/7. Scarcity fuels respect. Let's talk about a silent killer of masculine value. One so subtle most men never see it coming until it's too late. It's not laziness. It's not dishonesty. It's constant availability. You reply instantly to every text. You drop your plans the second she says she's having a rough day. You're always on call, emotionally, logistically, even energetically, as if your sole purpose is to orbit her mood. And here's the cruel irony. The more available you are, the less valuable you become. Why? Because human desire runs on contrast. We don't crave what's always within reach. We crave what feels earned, rare, and meaningful. Think about it. If water flowed endlessly from every tap in pure gold, would anyone still treasure it? Of course not. Abundance kills longing. Now, this isn't about playing hard to get. That's a cheap trick, and women smell manipulation from a mile away. This is about something far deeper. Living a life so full, so aligned with your purpose, that your time becomes sacred. Not because you say so, but because it's visibly true. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor who ruled Rome while writing meditations in war camps, once said, "A man's worth is measured by the worth of what he values." So ask yourself, what does your constant availability communicate? That your peace is negotiable, that your goals can wait, that her momentary discomfort outweighs your long-term vision. And she feels that, not as love, but as weakness. But when you step back, not with anger, not with silence as punishment, but with quiet commitment to your own rhythm, something shifts. She notices your absence not as rejection, but as mystery. She starts wondering, what is he doing? Who is he becoming? Why doesn't he need me right now? And that curiosity, that's the doorway to renewed respect. Because the man who invests deeply in his own life, who trains, creates, builds, reflects, is the man she wants to be part of. Not because he's chasing her, but because he's already moving towards something greater. So protect your time like it's your last resource, because it is. Say no without guilt. Delay replies when you're focused. Keep your plans sacred, even if she asks you to cancel. Not to punish her, but to honor yourself. And watch what happens. She won't pull away. She'll lean in with more intention, more appreciation, and yes, more priority. Abundance kills longing, but self-respect commands value. Stop orbiting her mood and start protecting your time like the finite, sacred resource it is. If you are done being on call 24/7 and are ready to put your mission first, comment, "Time is sacred," right now. Let the world know your presence must be earned. 3. Stop fixing everything. Presence greater than rescue. Here's a truth that cuts deep. Trying to fix her doesn't make you noble. It makes you invisible. You hear her vent about work and you jump in with solutions. She's overwhelmed, and you rearrange your entire week to help. She's sad, and you panic, scrambling to cheer her up, distract her, or erase the pain like it's your job to keep her emotionally afloat. But here's what she feels in those moments. Not gratitude, but suffocation. Why? Because when you rush to fix her emotions, you send a quiet message. I can't handle your full humanity. Your sadness, frustration, or confusion makes me uncomfortable, so I need to control it. And that doesn't feel like love. It feels like pressure. Stoicism offers a radical alternative, not through action, but through stillness. Epictetus, born a slave yet one of history's most liberated minds, taught, "No great thing is created suddenly." That includes healing. That includes clarity. That includes emotional resolution. She doesn't need you to solve her storm. She needs you to stand calmly in the eye of it. Think about the last time someone truly listened to you, without interrupting, without offering advice, without trying to make it better. Didn't that silence feel more powerful than any pep talk? Didn't you feel seen, not fixed? That's the power of presence. A Stoic man doesn't confuse support with salvation. He knows his role isn't to carry her burdens, but to walk beside her while she carries them herself. And in that space, something extraordinary happens. She begins to trust him not as a crutch, but as a pillar. Because pillars don't move. They don't collapse under weight. They simply hold space, and in doing so, they invite strength in others. When you stop fixing, you give her permission to be human. And paradoxically, that's when she starts leaning on you, not out of dependency, but out of deep respect. She realizes, this man isn't scared of my mess. He doesn't need me to be perfect to stay. He's steady, even when I'm not. And that kind of stability, it's magnetic. So next time she shares a struggle, resist the urge to solve. Instead say, "That sounds really heavy. I'm here." Then, say nothing. Just be there. Watch how her eyes soften. Watch how she opens up further. Watch how she starts seeking you, not for answers, but for grounding. Because women don't fall for rescuers. They fall for men who are already whole. Trying to fix her emotions is just a disguised need to control them. Stop being a crutch and start being a pillar. If you are ready to stop chasing the rescuer trap and choose calm, grounded presence over frantic problem solving, comment, "Be a pillar," right now. Let the community see who is standing steady. 4. Stop chasing her attention. Silence builds gravity. Let's cut through the noise with one uncomfortable truth. The moment you start chasing her attention, you hand her your power. You notice she hasn't texted back in a few hours, so you send another message just to check in. She seems distant during a call, so you double down on compliments, affection, or reassurance. She pulls away emotionally, and instead of giving space, you lean in harder, trying to win her back, with more effort, more vulnerability, more proof that you're worthy of her focus. But here's what actually happens. Your pursuit becomes background static. And the louder you try to be heard, the less she listens. Why? Because attention that must be begged for loses its value the moment it's given. It's not authentic, it's obligation. And deep down, she knows it. You know it too. Now, bring in the Stoics, not as passive monks, but as masters of psychological leverage. Marcus Aurelius didn't beg his enemies for respect. He embodied it so completely that even chaos bowed to his calm. And Epictetus, who had nothing but his mind, taught, "It's not what happens to you, but how you respond that matters." So what's the response when she withdraws? Not panic, not performance, stillness. Because silence isn't emptiness, it's potential. When you stop reacting to every shift in her energy, you create space. And in that space, something powerful grows. Curiosity. She starts wondering, why isn't he chasing me? Is he okay? Does he not care anymore? Or does he care so deeply he trusts us enough to wait? That uncertainty flips the script. Now, she's the one seeking clarity. She's the one reaching out, not because you demanded it, but because your absence made her feel the weight of your presence. This isn't manipulation, it's maturity. A man who doesn't need constant validation communicates one thing. My worth isn't tied to your current mood. And that's intoxicating. Think about the most magnetic people you've ever met. Were they the ones constantly checking if you liked them? Or were they the ones so grounded in their own purpose that you couldn't help but want to be near them? Exactly. So the next time she goes quiet, don't fill the void. Hold your center. Return to your mission. Let your life speak for you. Because the man who walks away from drama without anger, who stays focused while others scramble for scraps of attention, who lets silence do the work, is the man she can't ignore. Attention that must be begged for is worthless. Stop handing over your power. If you are done chasing scraps of attention and are ready to let your silence build real gravity, comment, "Hold your center right now." Let the community see who is stepping back into his power. 5. Stop seeking her validation. Your worth is non-negotiable. Let's talk about the invisible leash most men don't even know they're wearing. The need to be validated by her. You might not say it out loud, but it shows up in subtle ways. You dress a certain way because you know she likes it. You laugh at jokes that aren't funny just to keep her smiling. You suppress your opinions to avoid conflict. You measure your success by whether she's proud of you. And every time you do, you whisper to your own subconscious, "I am incomplete without her approval." But here's what Stoicism reveals with surgical clarity. Your worth was never up for debate. As Epictetus put it, it's not what happens to you, but how you interpret it that wounds you. And if your interpretation is, "If she doesn't approve, I'm failing," then you've handed her the keys to your self-worth. That's dangerous. Not because she'll misuse them, though sometimes she might, but because a man who seeks external validation becomes emotionally porous. He leaks strength with every compromise. He trades authenticity for acceptance. And over time, he becomes someone even he doesn't recognize. Now, contrast that with the Stoic ideal. A man whose inner compass is so steady, so unshakable, that no one, not even the woman he loves, can recalibrate it. This isn't arrogance, it's sovereignty. When you stop seeking her validation, something remarkable happens. She starts offering it freely. Why? Because humans are drawn to certainty. When you stand firm in your values, even when she disagrees, you radiate a quiet confidence that can't be faked. You become a reference point, not a reflection. She no longer sees you as someone trying to earn love. She sees you as someone who already embodies it and chooses to share it. And that changes everything. Because now, her praise isn't a lifeline, it's a bonus. Her criticism isn't a crisis, it's just her perspective. And your peace remains intact, regardless of her mood. This is the essence of Stoic strength. Living from an internal standard so high, external noise can't drown it out. So ask yourself tonight, what part of yourself have you muted just to keep her comfortable? What truth have you swallowed because you feared her reaction? Reclaim it. Not loudly, not defiantly, but gently, like returning home after a long absence. Because the moment you stop needing her to confirm your value is the moment she finally sees it. Your worth was never up for debate, and your strength is not negotiable. Cut the leash of external approval. If you are ready to reclaim your emotional sovereignty and live by your own internal standard from this moment on, comment "internal sovereignty" right now. Let the community know who holds the keys to his own peace. 6. Stop sacrificing your standards. Boundaries are the language of self-respect. Let's confront a quiet epidemic in modern relationships. men abandoning their standards to keep the peace. You ignore red flags because she's been through a lot. You tolerate disrespect because everyone has bad days. You compromise your values, your need for honesty, loyalty, emotional maturity, because you're afraid she'll walk away if you speak up. But here's what that really says. My peace is less important than her comfort.